Hey guys, you're listening to Forensic Geek Radio. I'm your host, Detective Zach Foxen. From H-bombs to fingerprints, let's get started. You know, every week I find myself more and more excited at the prospect of what the future brings to us. The days of tricorders and teleporters are really probably not that far out. It seems that Mr. Spock's tricorder could provide a wide range of information and testing, all in one tool. In a press release this week from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the development of a similar tool was unveiled. The creation of Dr. Tom Bruno, the plot Cryo, is a sensitive, portable method of recovering trace chemicals within the air. Now, while the concept of air testing is nothing new and has been seen especially within the fire services for gas identification, the plot Cryo method, which is short for porous layer open tubular cryogenic absorption, uses the similar headspace technique for qualitative analysis of compounds, which do not readily evaporate. The size of a briefcase, the kit collects the samples with a collection time as fast as 3 seconds that can be used in gas chromatograph and mass spectrometry analysis with sensitivity of up to 1 part per million. Not to mention that it's powered by compressed air. Thus, no potential causing of an ignition within a hazardous scene. So how does this fit within the forensic sciences or other applications? With the portable application, the system can be utilized at fire scenes to identify potential ignitable fluids, in grave soil to help identify possible clandestine grave sites based off cadaverine or other decomp compounds, explosive residues, the identification or leaks within commercial transport industry, or the spoilage of foods. The sheer range of application and detectable items that the NIST kit can identify is what sets this apart from other and similar technology. I definitely look forward to the further exploration of the potential that the NIST device has and would like to further see collaboration on with other agencies. I know that there is a team out of the Oak Ridge National Labs exploring the use of cadaverine gases to determine the postmortem interval, or the time since death. So I would be curious to see if this would be a viable method for collection of those decomposition gases. In other news from Washington, with the recent executive action dealing with gun control, the White House also has its sights set on the incorporation of biometrics within firearms. In a statement on Wednesday, the White House issued the directive to the DOJ, DoD, and Homeland Security to explore methods of implementing firearms that use biometric techniques, such as a person's fingerprint, to operate the weapon. This so-called smart gun idea is the newest initiative of President Obama, who stated in a conference this week, if we can set it up so you can't unlock your phone unless you've got the right fingerprint, why can't we do the same thing for our guns? If there's an app that can help us find a missing tablet, there's no reason we can't do it with a stolen gun. While I like the idea of biometric weapons, I definitely have reservations. I can barely get my phone to unlock the first time with my fingerprint, much less do I want to trust that with a gun. With a firearm, police officers don't have the luxury of time. Now, fingerprints aren't the only option for safer guns. The use of radio frequency or RFID technology, or RFID technology, I think would be more feasible, just like the key for newer vehicles. But once again, with current technologies, I think we are a ways off from it being simply implemented in a flawless manner. There are too many potential issues that need to be explored within the law enforcement and military settings. Currently, there are only a few startups that have begun developing smart weapon models. More concerningly this week, North Korea announced the test detonation of a mini hydrogen bomb after the U.S. Geological Survey recorded seismic activity out of the northern region of the rebel state. I really can't say that without thinking of Star Wars, Rebel State. This is the fourth nuclear weapons test by North Korea since 2006, but it is the first using the substantially more powerful hydrogen platform as opposed to the atomic. The increasing ambitions of a nuclear program have been evident over the past few years, with last year North Korea announcing the restart of their plutonium and uranium factories. In October of 2006, the country detonated an underground plutonium device. However, Intel found it to be on the smaller, less than 1 kiloton scale. UN military and economic sanctions were imposed, leading to the 2007 when the state claimed to stop its production. This failed to last, as in 2009, after calling off international talks, the nuclear program was evident once more with a second underground detonation, more powerful at an estimated 20 kilotons, causing a 4.7 magnitude quake. Another test in February of 2013, and then with the January 6th hydrogen test causing a 5.1 seismic detected activity. All this while North Korea has been further developing their rocket systems. What exactly does this mean? Well, it's the difference between fission and fusion reactions. In an atomic bomb, uranium-235 atoms are split into two fragments, causing the emission of over hundreds of millions of volts of energy. This can also be done with plutonium-239. The hydrogen bomb uses fusion reaction, which derives its power from the fusing of hydrogen isotope nuclei into helium nuclei. The difference between the two is the amount of energy produced. The atomic bomb is what was dropped by the Allies in World War II on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with the equivalent of 13 kilotons or 13,000 pounds of TNT. The hydrogen bomb, which has never been used in open warfare, produces a 10 megaton output of the equivalent of 10 million pounds of TNT. Like I said, the hydrogen bomb has never been used in warfare, as it was developed in the 50s after the Manhattan Project had developed the atomic bomb in the 40s. Now, within this in mind, a scientific panel announced this week just the extent that humanity has changed the Earth by ushering in a new geological time called the Anthropocene epoch. Now, the history of Earth has been divided into three eras. There was the Paleozoic era, then the dinosaur roaming Mesozoic era, and then the current Cenozoic era, which encompasses the past 65 million years. These eras are then subdivided into epochs, which reflect changes in the environment. For the past 11,700 years, mankind has been within the Paleocene or Holocene epoch. This is the time frame seen as the Earth warming from the previous ice age. These changes in the environmental homeostasis of the planet are believed to be the reflection of solar effects, but are not entirely sure. However, this week it was announced that the activity of our species has brought on a new epoch, the Anthropocene. This is due to the massive amount of emissions output, pollution, wildlife and habitat reduction, widespread building and population, and the activity of nuclear weapons testing. All this activity that we have generated over the past half century will now be seen and chronicled within the Earth's sediment and fossil record. It is no new idea of the impact that humanity has had upon our tiny little bit of rock orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. However, this new time period that we have embarked upon stands as clear evidence of our geological force. With this in mind, how do you think this will affect our future over the next 50 years in this new Anthropocene epoch? I'd like to know what you have to say on Facebook. A research team led by Professor Ann Ross of the North Carolina State University's Department of Anthropology is taking a new look at fingerprints and what the friction ridge patterns can tell us of a person's ancestral history. While the study is currently only examining level 1 detail, which includes the type of fingerprint pattern and the ridge count, Ross states they will be taking it to level 2 quality, which is what is currently examined by forensic scientists. The study's preliminary sample of 243 subjects found that there was not much variation between sexes, but there was significant difference in the level 2 details between subjects of European American and African American ancestry. And while there is a need for further research and sampling size, the findings are definitely interesting, with Professor Ross stating that these findings also tell us that there's a level of variation in fingerprints that is of interest to anthropologists, particularly in the area of global population structures. We just need to start looking at the level 2 details. I know I personally look forward to further research on this topic and understanding how it ties in with the development of friction ridge patterns within the womb. See, fingerprints are formed within the uterus during pregnancy. The fetus pushes along the womb wall, causing ridges within the volar pads of the fingerprints. This is why they are unique even among twins. Today I want to take a moment to recommend a book. Actually, it's probably my favorite book. Stiff, The Curious Life of Human Cadavers was a New York Times bestseller. And given it's a few years old, I still love this book. It's by the author Mary Roach, who has a manner of writing that is both comical and well-roundedly informative. Like I said, it came out a few years ago, but I find myself rereading it every year. Roach goes into her research of the history of what societies have done with their dead for the past few thousand years and what happens when you die, biologically speaking, that is. But from the Egyptians making a dead guy honey delicacy to the Brits making a wallet out of the hide of an executed grave robber, see, that's funny because of Burke and Hyde. Just read the book. Stiff is sure to be one of those books you become uniquely obsessed with further reading. Mary Roach has a few other books out that all deal with the science of various topics to include space travel, ghosts, and sex. Check out her. She's pretty awesome science writer. You can find her books on Amazon as well as audible.com. And on that note, that's the end of this episode. I am in the process of currently getting together some interviews with various persons. So I'm really excited to bring you guys that. Remember, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter's at Zach Foxen. I'd love to hear from you guys and send me some questions. I want to answer some of y'all's questions. You guys always have some really cool ideas and ways that I didn't think of things. So that's Forensic Geek Radio. I'm your host, Detective Zach Foxen. Keep learning.